Now, let's get into talking about some players. This is I think the more exciting part of the episode here, because my very first question, Kenny, and this is a tough one, so if it's a little difficult for you to answer, that's okay, because I think everybody's trying or having a hard time answering this question. But you, as an experienced fantasy manager, where would you draft Connor Bedard?
I thought you were going to ask this. So I did a video on this in the beginning of the summer, and I went back and looked at the previous generational talents, McDavid, Crosby, I forget who else I looked at. It's hard to find data going back to like 2005, but if you look at McDavid, that year, 2015, he was essentially a 5th round draft pick, and he turned out to be just around a point per game player. So he did provide 5th round value, and I wouldn't look at Bedard earlier than the 5th round. And one of the reasons why is because I told you just a couple minutes ago, I don't like to, the first 6 picks that I make, I want to make sure that they're not going to be risky. I want to make sure that those are the guys that I can count on, that are going to carry my team. And Bedard, there's a lot of question marks in terms of like who's on his line. Is he going to have anything to work with? I do think he's going to hold up a little bit of a floor because of his shot volume. He seems like a really high shot volume guy, and that's going to help you in a number of different league formats. He's obviously a goal scorer, so that's going to help. But he's a young player. He's not overly big, so he's not necessarily going to be Austin Matthews coming in, scoring 4 goals in his first game because he's 6'3", and he can handle all that and everything else. But he's definitely an elite talent. If you're in a dynasty league, he's a first round, probably top 5 pick. If you're in a redraft, I wouldn't start looking at him until after the 5th round. In our mock draft on Thursday, he went around 98, which is probably pretty good value for him because, if you're getting a guy who's got an extremely high ceiling just by all accounts in terms of what he can do skill-wise, and you're getting him that late in the draft, probably, 8th, 9th round in a 12-team league, that's probably where you'd want to take that risk. I wouldn't go earlier than the 5th. I don't think he's going to last later than the 100th pick or thereabouts because he's got that name value. I tend to stay away from rookies. This is potentially a different case because he is generational, and we haven't had a generational player since McDavid in 2015. So I would say anywhere between 50 and 100 is the number range of where you'd want to target him. But I wouldn't necessarily put all your eggs in that basket. If you have, I don't know what, I guess he's going to be a center. It depends on if he's getting dual eligibility or not. That could also factor into it. But if you have him as a center, I would probably have drafted another center earlier on just in case. But he's, that's a discussion because if you're in a dynasty league, he's definitely a top 5 pick because over the next couple of years, he could end up being the next McDavid and you get a tremendous value just drafting him there. But in a redraft, it's hard to predict what he's going to do rookie season. In that video, if you want to go watch it, it's on my channel. I think I had him projected for just around a point per game, maybe a shade under, maybe a shade over, probably goal heavy, probably shot heavy. So if you're comfortable getting that between 50 and 100, that's probably where he'll end up.
Yeah, I'd assume that he's going to get dual eligibility just because of, similar to what happens with Jack Hughes, where he plays center, but he's on the wing a lot because you need someone like Eric Howla to step in and take faceoffs for him. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen with Bedard as well.
Fair enough. Sticking with Chicago and going back to Bedard as well, Kenny, if you had to put money on it right now, do you think Bedard outperforms or underperforms his average draft position, depending where he goes this year?
I would take the under just because we saw with Jack Hughes the injury potential. Like not that he's slight, but he's not huge, and all it takes is one injury to derail him, and his ranking drops below where he was drafted. So obviously, guys that have been in the league a little bit longer, they've developed their body a little bit more to handle the stress of an 82-game season. Bedard's played a lot of hockey. There's no doubt that he can handle a long season because he's played, his juniors, his world juniors, etc. But it's just a matter of trying to factor in, if you're taking like a betting type of philosophy, you take the under in this case, or going lower than his actual value, just because there's so many things that could happen, injury risk, or maybe Chicago's just terrible again like they were last year and he can't generate anything because he's got nobody to work with that he finds chemistry with. There's a lot that could go wrong, and the odds of him out producing where he gets drafted depends on where he's drafted, I guess, because if he's getting drafted at like 150, then yeah, he could easily exceed that. But if he's going where I think he's going to go because of his name value and his hype, I don't think he's going to outproduce that.
Yeah, definitely. I think the name value alone, someone in every league is going to take a flyer on him, especially in a keeper league, earlier than expected, just to hopefully get some value there. Maybe not even see returns in the first year, but do it as a long-term play. I could definitely see that.